Isaiah chapter 21, verse 6, we read this. For thus the Lord said to me, Go set a watchman, let him announce what he sees. One of the great practices of elementary school days was the show and tell. The student would bring something from home and tell the story about it. Similar to this is the next progression of the see and tell. In see and tell, the student might give an oral report on some experience that he or she has had, like a vacation, a trip, and so on. And here we find this with Isaiah. The Lord directs him to set up someone to watch and give a report on what he sees. The situation for Judah was frightening, as they had sensed a serious threat from Assyria. Due to this threat, they looked for various ways to enhance their feeling of security. They did so by seeking alliances with foreign nations in the hope that the foreign nations would defeat the Assyrian forces. That is the case here, as King Hezekiah of Judah sought friendly relations with Babylon. You can see that in 2 Kings chapter 20 and Isaiah chapter 39. Now, here there was to be a person who would watch and report the success, or in this case, the lack of success of Babylon against Assyria. In 689 BC, the Assyrians destroyed the city of Babylon. The report of Assyria's success against the city of Babylon demonstrated the futility of trusting in foreign nations to protect Judah. The problem, as discussed in the last devotion, was the nation's dependence on worldly ways rather than trusting the Lord. We see this truth again presented here. Yet this verse presents another precept. It is that we should be observant of the situations around us so that we can communicate how the ways of the world do not work and how faith in the Lord does work. The point here is that we should see and tell. We should observe the contemporary situations around us and give instructions on how faith, which follows biblical principles, produces the best results. Our observations of the failures of the world's ways in history should stand as contrasting examples for us that will reinforce our faith and teach others. When we see people following the ways of the world and they are open to counsel, we should be able to point them to biblical principles for life. However, even if people who follow the ways of the world are not open to counsel, their situations and failures from following them stand as instructional points for all of us. They also stand as illustrations for instructing others. Now, I encourage everyone to be more observant, to look for how God is working in situations and how those of faith deal with things. However, also observe how those outside the body of faith deal with things. You will find much contrast between the way of faith and the way of the world. And you can learn much from observing what does not work, and we will be much better off by avoiding those kinds of things. Paul wrote, But test everything, hold fast what is good, abstain from every form of evil. And what is good? Well, it's the ways of God. They are good.